Here we go. Okay, so there's nothing like staying in the conscious flow state, right, you guys? Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's the balance between activity and rest. And we want to see how we can recognize when we're being overamped. And when we're overamping ourselves, we're getting out of the flow. And lots of times we're overamping, we're kind of letting go of, we need to let go of over entangling stimulations to get back in the groove of the flow state. So I don't know about you, but you recognize sometimes we watch maybe too much news, too much TV, or we get too entwined with certain things and it overamps ourselves and takes us out of the flow. And when we recognize that, we need to come back in. So, but on the other end is being underamped, where there's an underamped of, we're not doing enough. And we need to see what we can do to get back in the flow in that respect. And so we let go too. We let go to coming to rest in the flow of life now. And we recognize when we're out of place, we're at a place when we're overamping ourselves to catch ourselves, and we're at a place when we're underamping and we're lying on the couch watching too much TV. And if you guys can mute your microphones for now. And we recognize when we're in place. So let me take this a little step further, and this relates to some new studies I've been coming across and feel enamored with to share with you. So it relates to flow placement relative to our health. So when we're out of place, for example, some of us may use food as a coping mechanism, and being subject to aberrant gene expression. So the work that I've been getting into more is how our genes, how our genomics affect our health. So this is just a little technical part, but there's certain genes involved called COMT, Mayo, and these other long terms there, 5-HTT-LPR and ADR-A2B. But basically those are genes that when they have certain what's called genotypes, and you don't have to get too much involved with that, but when there's certain genotypes with those genes, it might give you a propensity to want to eat when you're feeling stressed as a coping mechanism. So rather than that, we have to recognize to be in place. And being in place has to do with eating, healthy eating patterns, and where we're under the control of our own essence of being. Now, it's something with our genes, and a lot of folks have taken some gene tests, but to recognize we're really not our genes either. Our genes gives us certain outer human tendencies. But actually what we've been doing in our conscious healthy aging course here is we're looking to see, acknowledging the essence of our being. Again, remember the light that we are, uniquely that we are, that needs to be received into our heart, and then integrated with others, and then out into a greater healthy expression. And as we play our part in that respect, we know a sense of soundness, of being in place, of being in the flow. So in terms of being out of place, this person with these tendencies, you can say, this person is more likely to identify food as a way to cope with or escape from stressful situations. And that can lead to some longer term health problems. And we're thinking about staying healthy as we age. And we want to see, okay, if we have that tendency, that outer human tendency, because of possible type genotypes that we may have, then we want to see what can be done. Now, one way of addressing it is through supplement recommendations. So in an outer sense, to assist you can say our human soul, there's supplements to help with that called Deep Calm Optimizer, Blood Sugar Optimizer, omega-3s, adaptogens like ashwagandha, tulsi, rhodiola, lavender, licorice. They can be supportive. But ideally, when we think about being under the control of our essence of being, we want to practice recognition when those negative emotions arise and to create space for choice to engage or step away. Remember the messenger RNA process? To breathe in out, breathe in slow and breathe out slower. So it allows for a space and time to make a deliberate choice That's a healthy choice. That's a sane choice. And that's when we're under the control of the essence of our being. And we can consider a daily meditation practice that focuses on loving kindness for ourselves and for others. Okay, personally, I do heart math every morning as a form of meditation using a sensor and having a sensing of what it means to be in a state of sound, sensible, what's called high coherence. And then when you feel like having a snack, when you recognize you're using food as a coping mechanism, you first take a few deep breaths, make a calming tea. But these are just sound. Think about under the control of our essence of being. They're just sound, sensible guidance that our inner being can help guide us along if we just pause and allow our heart and mind to receive those essence of being. So in terms of tempering, the balance of actually seeing the tendencies we may have gene-wise, and then really centering them in terms of how we can actually bring some saneness in our living by more and more cultivating what it means to listen to the essences of our being. So to really summarize this later, but here is just a summary to make it a little bit more sensible what I was speaking of. Conscious flow state. Again, activity, rest. So again, when there's angst, when we have human angst control, it takes us out of the flow. And the human angst control could be the tendency we may have genetically. And then there's a lax human control where, again, laxness can take us out of the flow. But we want to see our essence, again, our essence of being in control. So to help lock in what we just shared in a simplistic sense, again, when we recognize we have human angst, and I don't know about you, but when I recognize during the day is what it takes to get back to allowing the essence of being to be in control. So we'll stop the recording now, and we'll look to share whatever thoughts you have in this respect.